I'm Suzanne Winland, Artistic Director of Pointillism Jazz Consort, a dance company. Earlier this season, our company was asked to reprise a piece to Samuel Barber's immortal music, Adagio for Strings. Unfortunately, the budget wasn't available for the professional company, so I decided to reset the piece for our scholarship mission, the Infinite Legacy Project, and Refuge was born. I was so inspired by the photos of Sebastian Rich of refugees from around the world. This project took us on a long and meaningful journey. We hope you enjoy it. Refuge is a dance, a reflection of hope. Its shapes are inspired by the photos of Sebastian Rich. The shapes flow through the choreography and emotions of the piece.
This piece helps with acknowledgement of refugees. Refugees need to know that there's a place in the world where they can feel safe. Think about it. When doing this piece about refugees, I found out how important it was to learn about what's happening and the importance of information, to teach other people about it and to spread awareness of what's happening and how you can help people think about it.
Just looking up stories online and seeing the images that goes with them, you can really sense the emotion in the picture, either the happiness, the sadness, the fear, and it's really inspiring. Think about it.
So one of the things that we do as a dance company is that we're given ideas and stories and we elaborate from there. Like any other of our projects, we start with an idea for Miss Suzanne and then we elaborate. And this one really touched home because it's not a storm or anything else we've kind of done. We're reenacting people's real lives and the real terror of what they're going through and the things that they have experienced.
Yeah, and seeing the stories and pictures of things that happen can be really emotional and very sad.
Think about it.
We hope you truly think about it.
Sebastian Rich is a photojournalist for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. His images have provided a window for the world to view the challenges of refugees. These images often reflected the experiences of children and youth as they lived in refugee camps.
Social media could be used as a good source for helping people think about it. I feel like it's very important for people and countries to come together and solve their problems and to figure out better solutions than just to fight and to help each other rather than fight with each other. Think about it.
Getting connected with people in your community can really help with this cause.
And understanding other people's cultural beliefs and respecting those can help you think about it.
I think educating yourself and others can make the world a better place. Think about it.
Getting ready for the Refuge project involved the usual discipline of class and rehearsal. as well as researching images and information from the UN about the refugee crisis.
Hi guys, it's Sebastian Rich here, the photographer. I got your lovely video and all your great questions, and I will answer them over the next couple of days. I was in Washington DC just about 10 days ago doing a story for PBS. Anyway, I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and thank you so much for the lovely video, and keep up the great work for the refugees. It's greatly appreciated. Bye.
All these impressions needed to be woven into a cohesive choreographic structure. Rather than formalized dance phrases, we opted for everyday physicality, meshing shapes and stories into a seamless whole and blending with the ever-flowing phrases of Samuel Barber's score.
So we were discussing some stuff in class and something popped in my head. If you're not looking for it, you're not going to find it.
Shapes and phrases for our piece were inspired by photographs of refugees from many countries. Stories of their journeys moved and educated us about the struggles faced by so many. We've tried to capture some impressions of their lives and what they faced. Refuge will be performed in church, so it needs to have visual depth from many angles. As we researched, we saw the dignity and hope of these people shining through Sebastian's images. Our costumes for Refuge were chosen based on the decisions refugees need to make when they leave their home countries. These people escape war, oppression, and famine. Our piece celebrates their universal right to refuge. During the months of our exploration, we were delighted and inspired to see the images of art and photography shared by refugees.
As we started the refugee project, I remember my very own personal experience with refugees here in Austin, a sanctuary city. One morning, as I made my way to work, I don't drive, I was using public transportation on the bus. I saw this multi-generational family. It was a young husband. I didn't see a wife. I saw two very young children and what appeared to be older grandparents. They were really trying to corral the young rambunctious kids from probably about, I'd say, 3, 4, and 6. And I noticed the father he was looking at his phone and he was reading a paper, and then they got to a particular stop and they showed the paper to the bus driver, and it had an address on it. Well, I could see there was language barrier things and complications, and the bus driver didn't know this address that they were looking for. So I offered to help, and I read the paper, and just luckily from my past career in nonprofit work, I knew about the clinic that was on a street named Tapao, and I knew where that street was, and I was able to help this Syrian family get to the healthcare center that's being provided for them. So the refugee crisis is very real for me, and I'm so delighted to be working on this project with Pointillism and Sebastian, and it's something that it's a global issue, and we're all going to have to act globally to solve it.
The story of a refugee I chose was Faiz al-Shawab. His story was very telling. He had a lot of caring people, strangers, to help him, and he had a good opportunity to leave. His story I used for my first shape in the dance. When learning about refugees, I learned that when people think refugee, they don't really think of the people, who they are, and like what they've really been through. Because as a whole, people think, oh, they've been through war and a lot. But when you look at individual stories, they've been through a lot more and experienced a lot more than people will know.
One story that stood out to me when reading most of the refugee stories was the story about Noha and her family. They lived in Syria in the village outside of Hama, and they got bombed and they got harassed by the military people, but she never thought that she would become a refugee, and she explains how everything changed for her in her life, and that really stood out to me.
So one thing that really impacted me the most was a story about this young boy who left his country because he couldn't get the right education. There was too much violence. He spent days, maybe 2 weeks in the water, and when he finally made it to land, he just jumped off the boat. He fell to the ground. He lifted his arms up to the sun, and he was crying and smiling because he knew he was finally free and he could finally have a new life and get the education he always wanted. Because of that story, the shape that inspired me was when he hit the ground and he lifted up like this.
So my story that touched me the most is a story that reminds me a lot of myself and what my mom describes as me as a child. There's a photograph of a woman who is bringing her child from behind her, around her, and she's a very small child. And from what my mom was telling me, I was a very shy child, so it was always right behind her. And so then there's, in the picture, there's mayhem and destruction going on behind her, but the first thing that caught me was the little kid's eyes popping around the mom's leg. So I feel, I didn't really get too much of the background, but I feel like she was moving him along and making sure that he didn't get caught up in the mayhem.
About it. Thank you, Sebastian, for sharing your life and your images with us. We'd like to get